Hope's just a fleeting word. Oh, trees whisper. Oh, in the cold, hard light. Guitar soars through the stormy skies. A melody that pierces the eyes. Love's a memory, a distant dream. In this world it seems. Fingers glide in the fading light. A final note, a last good night. Lost in the shadows, lost in time. Dreams are all we find. Oh, dreams whisper, oh, dreams sigh. In the darkness they take flight. Heartbreak echoes, a lonely cry in the cold, hard light. In the shadows where whispers dwell,
1.3.
like guitar sings of love's farewell.
10-4, I just wanted to know if
Echoes of the heart once bold, now lost in the night's cold fold.
Yeah, I'll be 23 back on
Secrets
the
hidden
property case. I'll be 70
deep
seconds
within,
of the Williams Road address.
tales of love that couldn't win. Promises made in moonlight's glow, now broken like a shattered show. Sorrow in the guitar's cry, resilience in the sky. Through the night we'll find our way, carrying secrets, holding on today. Memories of laughter and tears. In the silence they appear, whispers of a time so true, when love was all we knew. Lost in the echoes of the past, wishing for what we had. In the dark we search for light, holding on to what we fight. Through the pain, through the night, we find strength in the fight. Sorrow in the guitar's cry, resilience in the sky. Through the night we'll find our way, carrying secrets, holding on today. Holding on to things.
521.
Sorry, a card for a parking problem.
Foreigner 23.
Okay, hello everybody. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight at Yellow Cottage Tales and at Breaking the Case with Jen Coffindaffer, who will be here with us in a moment. Before I get started, I just want to say that our prayers and thoughts are with the people in Minneapolis the victims of that shooting. No real reason for me to try to comment on that. That would just be divisive. But just let's just say our thoughts and our prayers are with those families, and just a terrible situation. I went for a few years to a Catholic school myself, and just hard to imagine what they're going through there. So I'm going to bring in Jen and our special reporter, our special Southeast reporter from Myrtle Beach. Hi, Jen, and hey, Nemo. Jen, I want to introduce you to Nemo. He's reporting from Myrtle Beach. This is our special Southeast reporter. His name is Nemo, and this is former agent Jen Coffenaffer of the FBI. So she's been a long partner with us for a while. Just shake hands.
Hi there.
Thanks for being here. So Nemo's just going to be with us for a few minutes, and he'll be with us longer on Friday. Is it Friday, or are we going to do Saturday, Nemo?
It was Friday. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be here Friday. We're here every night for anybody who isn't used to the new format, Monday through Friday, 8:00. So if you have nothing to do, if you're looking for something really almost exciting, come check us out at 8:00 every night, and we'll keep you company. Nemo, we had an interesting case today that we found today. What did you think about that? Let us know what you found.
Yeah. So I mean, I was looking over it, and honestly, this is one of those cases where it's like you think it's like from a movie. It's like one of those things you're like, you can't make this up. This is oh
my God,
incredibly complex, and it's between a man and his wife, Brendan Banfield. It's a double murder actually, and it involved his wife, and his wife was upset with him, and if she was playing checkers, this guy was playing chess. So Brendan Banfield was a North Virginia man, and the setup for this was essentially, it was premeditated, for starters. So he was preparing it in advance, months in advance. He had installed soundproof windows.
Preparing her murder, right? His
Yes.
goal was to kill her, right? So
yes, just to clarify. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay.
And so he has installed soundproof windows in his house, so no screams could be heard. But the critical and maybe interesting part of the setup was, if you're not familiar with what FetLife.com is, I wasn't until I looked it up. It was a fetish site, and so Brendan created a fake profile, posing as a woman named Christine, and he lured Ryan into staging a fake rape fantasy scenario. So this man Ryan was I guess I would say innocent. He was a bystander,
Right.
interested in getting involved. And when he got to Brendan's home, he thought he was fulfilling a consensual fantasy. When he arrived there, this guy was being used as the cover up for the murder. So
what was the fantasy that they were enacting?
It was a staged rape fantasy. And he was expecting Christine to resist as part of the role play. Christine was Brendan Banfield's wife, and I don't really know the exact details, but essentially Brendan and their live-in au pair, who he was having a affair with, allegedly, I believe, his lover of sorts. I think they together not only killed Brendan's wife, Christine, but also this man, Brian, and they attempted to use, this is all alleged, but to use Ryan as as the cover-up, and that is
right
who killed.
Yeah, it was a pretty elaborate plot. So just very surface level, my understanding of it is that he wanted to, the husband wanted to kill his wife, and he reached out with a fake, what do you call it? There's a word for what that fake persona is, Jen. When you, like they used this in the Delphi
Catfish.
murders, right? That guy, Kevin, catfishing, yes. So he catfished by creating this fake persona and getting someone that wanted to enact a rape fantasy. And so they set this whole thing up where he thought he was coming in, this guy, to enact a fantasy that was consensual, that she wanted to do. And then I guess the husband, his pretend part of this. He came in and pretended he was defending his wife and killed both the guy and his wife and made up some kind of a story to tell the police that obviously the police didn't fool them. But I can only imagine what the police must have been thinking when they first started unraveling this, and they must have been thinking, oh my God, is this real?
I mean, yeah, exactly. Because again, you can't really make this stuff up, or it's so oddly specific, you know. And you also start to question like motivations, and also, I mean, like I don't want to use genius as the right kind of word, but like this was.
Well, he didn't get away with it, so.
Yeah, it was very well thought out, very calculated,
yeah,
to say the least.
Right. Yeah, I wonder what clues the first police. I mean, like for instance, maybe if the police found that he had soundproofed the windows before this whole thing had been set up, maybe that was the clue or something like that that let them know that something different was going on there. Like, why would a husband soundproof his windows? You know?
Yeah, no, that is a good point. Or like, what leads you to even investigate the soundproofing of windows? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's yeah. Why would they look into that in the first place? There must have been some. Jen would tell you, Jen, from her investigation days. Sometimes a police officer has a good instinct, right, Jen? That something is not adding up.
Well, I think you would initially start with that whole crime scene, and you would just have to dissect everything about it, and you'd go to that digital trail, and I think it would lead straight to him straight away.
You think it didn't take him long to figure it out, huh? So even though it was a complex plot, it wasn't something that fooled the police for very long.
That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Something like this. I mean, you're always looking at. I mean, first of all, he killed him.
Right. And did it really look like self-defense, or did it look like a story?
Right. So
Right.
I would guess that he would have been their number one suspect. He was the husband.
Right.
Situation. That digital trail would have showed the catfishing, would have showed them luring him in, would have showed this whole plot laid out. His Google history, I would love to have seen, because that also laid everything out.
Excellent point.
So
I think Nemo's right, though. This would make a great something in a movie or an old episode of Columbo. This is, when someone just comes up with this elaborate scheme like this, especially if they could have made it work a little bit better.
Exactly.
But I think Jen's probably right. The police are probably on to him pretty quickly. So Nemo, what do you have for coming up this Friday that you're looking into?
So for this Friday, wrote down a couple of notes, but things I did want to go over is last Wednesday we spoke about some of the open cold cases in Myrtle Beach, and the one I'm talking about specifically is Amber Birbiglia. If you remember, that was the overpass one. And I found just some more details that actually I think make that cold case more interesting. There were more details as to where she was coming from and where she was going. Initially, from what we had heard, is she was just heading to work. There were traffic or highway cameras that reportedly there was another individual in her car. Beyond that, the car wasn't like in the water or anything. It was actually it was still running when the people found her. And there was also some of the things that were interesting that I thought added into the case, like more layers, is she there was evidence that she fought back, which I think that adds more to it for sure.
That's new. Yeah,
she had come from
that's
the
a good
Spectrum
catch.
store. Yeah, there was a lot of like hearsay that I was trying to like go through. So I was trying to go off of like reported sources and like things that are saying there. But it was interesting. I mean, I'm not sure if this is worth noting. It was also 7 months before another really notable. I think they might have closed this cold case, but Heather.
Oh, let's save some of it for Friday, though. Let's not ruin the surprise.
True.
But you found some good stuff there, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. So there's more on that, and I think it's actually a case worth like investigating more. And then, like I told you guys last week, I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I was looking into more of some cold cases out there, and one I'm actually very familiar with is I was born. If you've seen Breaking Bad, right? There's that scene. He takes the RV. They go cook. So that's kind of my backyard of where I grew up, and in that same area, they found in 2009, I believe, they found 11 bodies and one fetus, all collectively buried around the same area, and it's still an open case. They don't know how they got there.
Wow.
And I don't know, since I grew up in the area, that has always been pretty interesting to me. And this happened like, I don't know, as I was growing up. So I think there's some interesting details to pick up there.
Oh, okay. All right. That's awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Nemo. So I'm looking forward to Friday, and we will see you Friday for that show. Those are two
Okay.
really interesting cases, without a doubt.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, my man. Appreciate
Take
it.
care.
Okay, Jen. So Summer Wells.
Summer Wells.
I've done some more research into it, but what else? Let's pick up. We're trying to pick up a little bit where we left off, or some of what we missed last time, or didn't have time to get to. Were you able to find out? One of the things that fascinates me is, did you find out anything more about whether that door was blocked, that basement door from the outside? Was it the only way into it to go under that weird floor trap under the desk?
That's correct. That little trap that was sort of in the living area, let's just call it that you had to secrete yourself down. That was the only
Yeah.
way to get in there. They had a sofa that blocked the exterior door. So you
Okay.
couldn't get in and you couldn't go out. I mean, unless you moved that sofa and
Right.
walked it and went out. But that was not an area of ingress or egress.
So that pretty much eliminates the possibility of an intruder, doesn't it?
It totally eliminates that possibility. Look, if
Okay.
you looked at this area, it's 11 acres. It's off the road. You cannot see that other than to know it's there. If you don't know
Right.
it's there, you can't get to it. You have to go through wooded area. As I mentioned before, there were dogs, there were wild dogs, there were their dogs. This is an absolute area that you couldn't go to unless you were invited and unless you knew it was there.
Wow. All right. What else we have on it? Anything else? When I know one of the things I watched an interview with this guy Hunter, this kid Hunter, and it left a powerful impression on me, to tell you the truth.
Good. Hear what your impression of Hunter is. You saw what I texted you, but I'll wait and hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I know. And if you want, we can play a little bit of it. We don't have to. We can save that for another time. But I do have the interview lined up with Chris McDonough, who I think is a former police detective, and he had some interesting techniques where he's clearly trying to get the kid to trust him and to talk. But the way that Chris McDonough was acting, as I'm watching it, before I knew anything else about this kid, or even I didn't even know who he was, to tell you the truth. It was Hillbilly Nitro. Thank you, Hillbilly, who sent me that. I'm like, this guy, Chris McDonough, is treating Hunter as though he might be a suspect in his mind. And to me, one thing that was clear to me, crystal clear, was that Hunter was trying to point the finger very loudly at the parents.
Sure.
And so he was trying to say, in fact, he told some stories that I guess have not really been confirmed. So, for instance, and my understanding is, I've learned since, that his stories have changed on some of these things too. But for instance, he told a story how, I can't remember that. What's the name of is it Paul? What's the name of the father's name?
Don Wells.
Don. That's right, Don. That Don called up the mom while Hunter was in the car with them, and reported that there was some strange guy lurking around staring at the kids. And this was a really strange thing to report. And I remember thinking to myself, something's going on here. Either this kid, if he's telling the truth, then it seems to me that Don is pretty suspect here. He's trying to set up an alibi for himself. Or this kid is not telling the truth, in which case he's the suspect. And I ended up coming away thinking pretty strongly the latter, because his story just sounded so suspect to me. But the whole relationship is strange. So I think he's 14 at the time, or maybe 15 at the time. I think he's 15 at the time when Summer went missing. And has this odd relationship where she's giving him vape pens, or at least according to him anyway, she denies it, and giving him alcohol to drink while they're out at the beach.
There's no
And the kid-
denying. That's
What's
exactly
that?
what she did. There's no denying it. That's what she did. She went to a store and she got him the twisted tea and she bought him vapes, and they sat there vaping and drinking as Summer swam at the.
How do we know the truth of that, though? Is it a he said, she said, or I mean,
Really, I mean, I've heard Summer, or I've heard Candace at one point talk about that, and
well,
also
I watched the interview with her today, and she denied that.
Which interview? I mean,
The one
can
with Chris McDonough.
you can turn on an interview any day of all of Candace's interviews and get a whole different story each time you
Right.
turn it on. She's
Right.
half the time wasted. One time she has another kid in her hotel room. She's absolutely categorically unreliable in her statements. Hunter, the only reason to me that he is somewhat reliable is because, first of all, he was only 15. So he's not this criminal mastermind, and he has an alibi. You know, he was dropped off at the house, and the mother and his grandmother were both there when after the twisted tea and the vape scenario.
So
Also,
the alibi is just his mother and grandmother, though.
well, it's pretty good alibi because the other alibi, I believe, is Candace. And again, it's been a few years since I've watched, but I watched every single video that Candace was in. Every word out of her mouth, Don Wells's mouth, and that wasn't anything that was really denied. I mean, Hunter, I don't believe did this. I believe Hunter actually might have saved her when she went under when they're over there getting drunk or whatever. You know, I'm not.
I found that story odd too, to tell you the truth. But yeah, but go ahead. Yeah.
Well, remember the inside of it all, and I can't remember, as I said, it's been a long time listening not only to Candace, Grandis, and Dawn. That'll keep you busy for tens of, dozens and dozens of hours of listening.
Yeah. I don't want to do that.
And then you have Hunter too. And
Yeah.
Hunter has been on, been interviewed multiple times. He's done YouTubes. I mean, he's all over the place too. But I think what he's early on is always the most reliable. And if I recall correctly, I'm not sure that Candace even drank. I think she just bought the twisted teas for him. But perhaps as I recall, they're both vaping.
Was she? And it's apparently it started out she had some kind of a friendship with Hunter's mom, but then that went south. But yet she maintained this friendship with Hunter, which is really, from the world that I grew up in, that seems wildly inappropriate. But I don't know. Maybe things are different down there. I don't know. It's not even. Is it completely impossible that Summer is not still alive? That someone just said, this is a bad situation, we need to take her out of it? Because all of these people seem completely dysfunctional.
I don't think there's any chance in the world, and your audience isn't going to like this, and neither is mine, that Summer's alive.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying I'm just saying that.
Or no, there's a small chance. I always keep hope. There's a small chance Summer's alive.
Yeah.
Very
It's also a pretty bad situation with her parents and the other, including Hunter. There's a lot of dysfunction there. Video, just evidence even in the video when you're watching the interview of Hunter and his mom and his grandmother there, and it's just it's. I feel like I'm watching the movie Deliverance. I feel bad. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but
well, it's not far off. It really isn't. It's a terrible situation that Summer was growing up in, and dysfunctional to say the least. I really challenge you to take a look at Don Wells's interviews and the things he said about what was likely happening to Summer Wells. About she was probably getting sexually assaulted, talked very early about her being gone, always says, I wish she could come home, or words to that effect. I think there is this blood-curdling scream that at least the neighbor said that they heard in and around this time, and then that's gone back and forth. But I think that was real and that was legitimate, that there was a blood-curdling scream. And I've always believed this was some accident likely, and then a cover-up. And it'll be hard for me to change my mind after all those hundreds of hours of reviewing. This was one of those cases that I was so on top of. Read everything, but it is a little, before we get on, I always kind of try to refresh myself with the notes. But it's a lot. It's a lot out there.
Okay, so lead on. Wherever else you got us to go, I'll just try to come up with questions.
Well,
You did a good job refuting that. That was just, for me, that was just my instincts, but I haven't watched all the, there's not really a lot of evidence for me to go over, and there's not I didn't watch all those videos. I just watched the 2 interviews, one with Hunter and one with Candace, both by Chris McDonough.
Yeah, and
And those,
I think they'd be good to go over, especially as a refresher, especially because that was kind of early on. I mean, Chris McDonough gave us a view into the house. I mean, that caused a lot of controversy from a lot of people because, you know, from a law enforcement standpoint, to have somebody in, you know, what probably should have been treated as a crime scene. But boy, what insight, you know, that gave. And then he was conducting the interviews of witnesses, which usually aren't conducted by YouTubers. But now it happens all the time, right?
Right.
All these.
well, usually, obviously there are exceptions, some well-known ones, but usually you would think they would lawyer up, and the lawyer would say, "Dummy up, don't say anything." On even so, it's unlikely that both Hunter and the parents are guilty, and yet they're both going to the media. So one of them is so that they, but any lawyer would advise all of them to dummy up until the case is solved. You know, right? So
Yeah, but these people, first of all, they don't have money, and what money they do have, they spend it on drugs and alcohol and partying. It was pervasive in that house. I mean, there were people that lived there that weren't a part of the home or part of the family. The relationship with Hunter, and I would have to go back and look at the particular allegations regarding that. I think for sure his mother, but you know that this is a sexual relationship between Candace and Hunter. It wasn't appropriate. I mean, what mother that age goes out and picks up a 15-year-old, you know, to go drinking or vaping with? It is so unusual and weird. But beyond that, and I would have to go back and look, but I believe that is part of what caused the huge dissension between Hunter's mother and Candace, as I recall. What's your chat saying? Do we have some good Summer Wells folks that know the case?
I don't know. Let's check it out. So a question, Jen, if it was an accident that they covered up, why cover it up? I mean, unless that accident really showed some tremendous negligence on their part, why cover it up?
It showed tremendous negligence on their part, I believe it. And also, I mean, it's very dicey as to whether Don Wells was there or not. There's one picture that looks like his truck is in a reflection, yet he says he was drywalling quite a distance away. And then there's, you know, this telephone call that takes place. And then, of course, Hunter alludes to the fact that no, he was there. And then some of his statements where he kind of slips up, it makes it sound like he is there. I mean, he speaks from a position of being there and seeing things, as opposed to, you know, I think he says words to the fact, I went and looked in the house, or I looked down in the basement or something like that. But the timing was early. So anyway, Kevin, there's so much dysfunction. You know, Summer slept with Don. I'm not saying sexually, because we don't exactly have proof of that without having Summer to, you know, give that information. But certainly they slept in the same bed. That's certainly accurate. Don has said that before. So, you know, it's just, I mean, she was only 5, but that household, just take into account this. 3 boys were taken out of that house for neglect. And that almost never happens by the state. You know, they want to keep the kids with their parents, and they took them out of the house post haste once they discovered what was going on in there.
So would you like me to bring, should we play a little bit of the interview with Hunter, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes of it, just to see if that gives us any kind of insights? Let me bring that on.
Thanks.
So again, this is Hunter. He's a friend. Let me make sure the volume's all the way up. Who oddly hangs around with Candace, and apparently she buys him booze and vape pens material.
The father. And so
Now you say the kids. Who are the kids?
Wyatt and Josie.
So the boys.
Yeah, the boys.
They went to work with Don.
That's what I was talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
And so I meet her, I dap everybody up. That's just how I am. So I dap her up. I said, how you doing? Because it's been a long time since I've heard from her.
Okay,
I hear from her like once in a while on Snapchat.
okay.
I did. And so all this stuff that's going on.
Now tell me what it means when you say you tapped him up. What it,
Oh,
so people that don't know that.
Like a hand.
Okay, so yeah, so show me.
It's just like this.
What's up, though? One of those, right?
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, go ahead. See, I knew that, but people don't know that, right? So let's make that clear. So somebody can't say, "Oh, look what he did." Okay.
Yeah, she pulls up there in that mailbox.
Okay.
And so I dap her up like usual. She comes in. We're all sitting down. I ask her what happened to her grandma because she wouldn't tell me over the phone. She said that she hurt her knee because the kids. Where did she say she went on vacation for? Gatlinburg. She said she went to Gatlinburg for a little vacation with the kids, and the kids kept kicking her leg. And she has supposedly a plastic knee or something like that.
Mhm.
And so they took her to the hospital. You came in here for.
Do you know what hospital? Do you know? Not mom. Do you know?
It's the one downtown.
Okay.
I don't know what's called, but it's the one downtown.
Okay, mom. Do you know the name of it? And who's with her that
Just
day?
summer.
Just Summer.
Not
Okay.
the entire day until we pick up the grandma.
Okay. What time do you remember? I know you're not good at times. Guesstimate.
I guess the time that we picked up the grandma
No. The time she pulls up that morning.
had to have been like around 11, right?
Okay.
Or 10 or 11.
No, just from your memory. Not from. Let's just kind of put that right there. Okay. Because like you said, you're not good with times right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I really just don't pay attention to time.
Straight up. Okay. So then what happened?
And then, like I said, after we went inside, talked about it. And then she said, you want to go fishing summer? I said, do you care if I come with it? Because it's summer.
I want to get to where the call is.
Right.
And she said, you got to ask out.
Okay.
But she calls her.
You want to go fishing?
No, I asked if I could come with because summer was gone.
Got it. And she says, ask your mom.
Yes.
And what did you do?
I went to ask her. She said, that's fine because there's no problem with going fishing for a little bit and come back.
Sure. And what was, when you first saw Summer that day, what was your impression?
It's just how it usually is. Just like, yay, she's over here. I mean, I don't know.
What?
I mean, I think it's because I show her a lot of attention.
Oh, interesting.
Like,
Yeah.
not weird attention, but I show her attention.
No, I get it. Miss Robin shows her a lot of attention too in church,
Yeah, like, I'll sit there, she'd be like, give me a piggyback ride. I'll give her a piggyback.
like an older brother.
That's what I'm saying.
Is that
Because-
kind of an older brother sister kind of vibe going here?
Yeah, that's what it was because her brothers just always used to pick on her. So I just show her how a real brother should act.
Okay.
Even though I'm not saying I'm the best brother here, you guys can.
You should talk to my brother, man. It'd be messed up.
But it was like,
Try to
like I was her older brother at one point in time until one mess that happened with them that just split us apart, and then she came that day.
Okay. So she's here. Summer's here. Candace is here. You get permission to her, and you thought it'd be cool to go with her.
Yeah.
Do I have that accurate?
That's pretty accurate.
Okay.
I'm trying to get to where the call is, but even there, I find that a little odd. This is a 15-year-old kid that wants to hang around with a 5-year-old girl. I just find that to be really strange. Do you find that to be strange at all, Jen?
Of course, it's strange.
I mean, he's saying that the brothers don't give her much attention. Well, of course, they're older brothers. They're not going to give a 5-year-old girl a lot of attention, and yet he wants. And he only jumps in on this trip when he hears that she's going fishing. Oh, I want to go because Summer's going. That's odd to me.
It wasn't why he wanted to go. He wanted to go for a twisted tea and a vape. I mean,
Good point. He's not going to say that. You're right. Good point.
Yeah.
I want to catch. I think when he talks about the phone call is coming up right here. So let me just
Not
see
bad
if
for
I
an old
can-
man.
And I mean, I want to get out the house anyway.
Sure.
I didn't even know put to her. I just want to get out the house.
Oh, interesting. So where are you sitting in the car?
At first, I was sitting like an overhead to the bed part,
Okay.
and then we put another one back behind, like that passenger seat right there.
Okay. And where's Summer?
Summer, she is on. I think it was a few hours ago.
Okay, got it. Okay. Was there any other stuff in the car?
Not it.
You remember when you first saw her?
First off, happened yesterday. I didn't know.
It's cool. She'd see me drive.
But
Shoot on her. Do you know?
inside.
In the house.
Yes.
So she changed her in the house.
Yeah.
Did she take the clothes with her?
Yeah.
Miss Allison, do you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what happened?
But then, when she got changed from swimming, they had bought her an outfit to put on because they're supposed to go to Jonesboro.
All right, I guess I'll stop it there. I can't quite find. There was a couple interesting things in there. If people want to go back and watch that, if you email me, I'll get you that message. I'll get you that interview. But there was when he talks about the call that comes in from Dawn saying that there's somebody creepy watching the kids, and then also the part when he talks about Summer. He looks out in the water and she seems to be under the water and not coming up. So he panics about it and runs out to try, but then turns out she's just fine and jumps up out of the water. So the whole story something seems off to me about this story it doesn't add up to me. I can't quite explain it. He's not telling a story that makes sense to me.
I truly think it doesn't make sense because he's not saying his true motivation. And that is, again, it has to
You
do
might be right.
vaping and the fact he's 15. But what I found interesting, one of the things was, you look at the time of year this is, it's summer, it's hot. And if you look at the last picture of Summer Wells, which actually I think I can put it up here on my screen. No, I can't. I'd have to go back and it would take a second. But basically, if you have it, she's leaning against the milk carton. And
I do have it somewhere.
Winter outfit. It's pink and black, as I recall. It's a winter outfit. She's, sound asleep. And he talks about that, I believe, as being a Christmas gift or something that they decide to open early and give to her. I've just always thought that was so odd, that here it is. It's hot. It's summer. And she was dressed in the winter clothing that supposedly, as I recall, were purchased for Christmas.
Trying to load this file up, hopefully taking a chance that this is it. But yeah, I that didn't necessarily bother me because I don't know why this won't load, but I know that, it's summer, but the car is air conditioning and she just come back from swimming. So a kid could be tired, could be cold in those circumstances, especially if the AC is on in the car. And
you know what? I'm sorry. I want to interrupt really quick. Your chat is right. It wasn't a Christmas gift. It was like a school outfit. That's right. So apologies for that. There are so many facts in this, and really only the people that followed it from the beginning to the end and took copious notes on all these details would be able to recite it off. But I knew it was a special occasion that was purchased for first day of school, and yet it was pulled out here, which never made any sense to me. I mean, why would you put a brand new outfit on her? It was just weird to me, a winter outfit.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to anything else on this that struck you. So you obviously have a pretty strong opinion on this, and I know you're going to want to state it as carefully as possible. But what are your reasons for believing what you believe?
It started out as I've always said, there's a big issue with the first statements that Dawn Wells and Candace Wells ever made. If you watch that interview, I actually just watched it very recently. Candace is absolutely, 3 sheets. She is so wasted, she can barely put a sentence together. Dawn is much more lucid, talks in, as if she's gone. They don't bring up this whole thing, as I recall, about this. There's the one I wanted to talk about. This is in the middle of summer. I don't care if the windows are down or they're up. Look, she's in a winter sweatsuit with a long sleeve winter jacket. I just have always found that very odd. And again, somebody, as I recall, said that it was first day of school. I couldn't remember Christmas, first day of school. It was a special occasion that was purchased for, yet they put it on her. I know I'm making a lot about that, but
so what would you draw? What's the inference you draw from that?
Well, the inference I draw is, it makes no sense to me, this whole outing. Remember how this outing began? It began because Grandis's knee had an issue, and they take her to the hospital, and then she's there. And then she gets prescribed medication. They turn it into Walgreens. Then they go and basically find a way to waste time while they're waiting on the prescription. So that they go to this watering hole and, get the twisted tea, get the vape. And then later, she's dressed in this. I don't know. I find the whole set of circumstances pretty bizarre. You got the milk sitting there.
But what would it mean that they've changed it? I'm trying to understand. What is it that you're saying that it would mean that she's dressed in what you're saying are unusual clothing? What exactly? I'm not following.
Okay, I'll say it very simply. I see this as a situation of, to me, where's her clothes? Where is she, taken care of? Where was food? This was a big thing that came out. I think all she had that day, and we'll see if chat remembers, but as I recall it, she had like I want to say like a Sonic Slurpee. You know, I'm just
Hunter also said they went to a Sonic, or maybe it was Candace, I forget, but one of them in the interview said they went to a Sonic.
yeah. The whole thing we're talking about here to me is about childcare. You let your 5-year-old swim in a deep pond while you're vaping and drinking with a 15-year-old. You don't have appropriate clothing in the middle of the summer. She doesn't get anything to eat from morning until night, except for this Slurpee thing, as I recall. This is just, to me, when I saw this, looked at her hair, I believe that's because she had lice, not because she wanted to look like that. The story they came up with was,
Right.
well, she wanted to look like her brothers. I'm not buying any of that. I see a girl that is neglected, that is not treated well. And I just take this one snapshot of the day, and that's what this shows to me. Now, I saw Hillbilly in chat say something interesting, that basically they were cleared. And all I would say is this, Hillbilly, they weren't cleared because their children were taken away. That is absolutely the most stiffest penalty anybody can have. Remember watching the court hearings when they were going to try to get their kids back, and kind of all of that, how it played out. So I cannot believe that they were cleared, because they weren't cleared. They were taken. The 3 boys were taken.
But the boys may have been taken away, nothing to do with the murder. They were taken away because it was a very, as you just pointed out, a very neglectful environment for so many different reasons. These were bad parents.
Exactly. Totally my case in fact as to why I believe in their neglect of summer, something terrible happened, and I think they covered it up.
But it's also true that someone else could murder her, and 2 things can be true at the same time, that somebody could have murdered her and her parents were neglectful, right? So
Except for the fact that nobody was there. They're the last ones to see her. The last story that was ever told was she walked inside after, I think, helping Grandis plant plants or cactus and getting a candy. And she, you have to listen to Candace's story because it changed multiple times. And after she walked
and
in,
Hunter's not old enough to drive, so he's got no way to get over there.
Exactly. So Hunter to me is out of it, other than, the weirdness of that relationship. And then she says she immediately goes in. She literally says, I think at one point, 2 minutes on one interview. I think she said in 2 minutes, I walked into the house and she was gone. And these boys, it's not like the boys were 1, 2, and 3. The boys were old enough to do something. I always thought that they would be the key to this. And we've never found out any viable information, at least publicly made, that the boys would have said.
I wonder if there's ever been a grand jury, or if those boys were called to testify in front of it. I guess we wouldn't know that unless there's indictments, and there's obviously not been indictments. So
there's been no indictments. And I think this, to me, is just a clear case where law enforcement dropped the ball. They never treated this as a possible manslaughter, as a possible situation, that they treated that house and they treated that scene as something more than a missing person. Look, we're watching it out right now in Emmanuel Harrow. If you could compare the statements that were made by the Harrows and compare them to the Wells, they're pretty much even, just garbage. And then, but the only thing is, the Wells' statements, they continued for years. I mean, it's unbelievable how many times they were on. And I look at opportunity. They were the only ones with the opportunity. I look at any sort of
the whole desk thing is weird. I mean, if that door to the outside was in the basement was truly blocked off, it's not just that they were in the basement, but you had to go through a trap door that's strangely underneath a desk. I got claustrophobic just watching them try to go through that, and there's no way an outsider would know to go down there. But it is also possible that I don't know how proven it was that door was actually blocked, if there's some way to have pushed it in. But it's hard to imagine anybody doing that even if something had to be moved like a couch, well, certainly the parents would have noticed that later on, like, oh, somebody's pushed in the door and they've moved the couch to do it. So somebody would have noticed that. So
Plus, there were 3 boys down there.
right.
So you're going to abduct somebody as these boys are there?
The boys were downstairs too. Okay.
It's so absurd that anybody came and abducted her. That was something that came in later, kind of in the Menendez case, right?
Right.
We didn't do it. The mafia did it.
Right.
I mean, with that.
So maybe they didn't. I guess a motive would be, let's say there was an accident, Jen, right? And something happened. A motive would be is they don't want to lose their other boys, their other kids. Because if Summer died because of some neglectful situation, their motive for covering up would be they wouldn't want to lose custody of the boys.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, I agree that being one issue, and I think the other issue is just worrying about their own possibility of facing jail time.
Right.
For whatever happened. I mean, I really don't have a hypothesis of specifically what happened. Whether it was a fall and bumped the head, whether it was something that was given to her that she ate or consumed. Remember, these guys were drug addicts. They were using.
Did they have cadaver dogs search the vehicles or search the property?
I do not remember that.
Because I know maybe because I mean my understanding is that dead bodies leave behind a certain scent that cadaver dogs can pick up, right?
Yeah, I really don't remember cadaver dogs being out there. I don't remember that. If they were, it's something I don't remember ever being
right.
Discussed or known to the public, I should say.
Like if there was an accident and they transferred the body somewhere, my understanding, and I don't know shit, but maybe I've just seen too many movies, but they've got cadaver dogs that can tell that a dead body has been in the trunk, for instance, or in the back seat or whatever.
Yep. No, cadaver dogs, I think, would have been a great call. I just don't know if it happened. I know
they may not have done it.
Yeah. I know there was some searching done that obviously would have been done whenever you're looking for a child. Also, I hope people understand the construction of this house. I mean, you're talking, I don't know, how many square feet would you guess? Maybe 800 square feet, 400 up, 400 down, maybe. Thinking about a garage being about 60 square feet.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
it's an odd house.
So if you're upstairs, you're downstairs. I mean, you could hear everything when they were going.
Right. It's a small house, right? Right. If anybody screamed or anybody made any kind of a noise, everybody'd be able to hear it inside the house, no question.
Yeah, it's teeny tiny.
And where was the grandmother was out in the garden at that time, planting flowers or something?
No, she was in her own little trailer.
She was inside her own trailer, so she wouldn't have heard it. All right.
But remember, there was a neighbor that reported that they did hear. Yeah, I mean, what Langston said is true too. I mean, the background of Don Wells, his drug abuse, everything that happened in Utah. He tried to sell his other 2 children for drugs, sexual abuse within the family, I think also the sister's friend. There are so many allegations against Don Wells. That's another item that I really am shocked that nothing from his past in Utah ever came up to bite him. I mean, the only thing he went to jail for was the DUI.
So I don't know if you had ever had to investigate these kinds of crimes in your career, but where would you think if police are called to the scene, where does an investigation begin for something like this?
Well, the problem is when you go in, and this very, very similar to the last case I ever had. And that case involved a missing child, 6 years old, and the house was horrible. It was full of cats, rats, cat feces, rat feces. People slept in just a single mattress that would be thrown on the floor with urine. And this child, this is where they lived. And the interesting thing that some people might not know is that this is not that unusual. In many rural places throughout the country, This particular one was kind of in Florida, northern Florida toward the Panhandle. This is not that unusual. People live poor, and actually some poor, as you probably all know, there's a lot of very poor people that are very amazing parents. They
Right.
live
Right.
in squalor. They live to the best of their ability with their limited means. That's
Mhm.
not these parents, and that's not the parents that I had in my case.
Right.
I guess you could say they were, but literally the two older boys, I'm convinced were incest. I mean, they could barely put a sentence together. They were extremely uneducated. They were sitting outside of the house and just,
Mhm.
hey, yeah, I don't know what happened to him. It was
Yeah.
like out of a scene of a movie, only it's not a movie. It's all over the United States. And
Yep.
so, Kevin, in that case, actually, that child went to a neighbor pond and ended up dying in the neighbor's pond. But when searches are done, and I will say, the initial search done in that case, that boy was not found. When I
Right.
came on scene, I wanted brand new dive teams. We called in every dive team we could get a hold of to go to every single body of water that had or had not been searched, and had them
Right.
researched. And that's when he was found. So I'm not trying to say that on initial searches that law enforcement and search and rescue don't miss things, because you do, especially
Right.
if the body hasn't floated to the top yet. If the dive team is small or not that well educated or has that much experience. A lot of dive teams, particularly police dive teams, they don't get much time behind the tiller. In other words, they
Mhm.
don't do it every day. They do it on very special instances, and so they're not as good as you might expect.
Is there a playbook that investigators go by? Obviously, it's going to vary somewhat based on the circumstances, or is it just based on the experience of the senior investigator that's there? Is there some kind of a playbook that you're taught to go by? All right, first you do step A, B, and C, and you secure this, and you do that.
I'd say there is a playbook, but because, especially particularly in the bureau, we do it so often because we're called in almost every large missing persons case and missing child's case, and it's something. The command post is something that from very early on, not only do we do it all throughout Quantico, but then once we get in the real world, that's something we do right away. And then we also
Right.
have sort of specialists with running a command post. I usually ran the command post, as I did in this case I'm talking about. And so you get to where you do it so often that you know exactly what needs to be done. The troops that you need to go out and conduct the canvases, every house has to be searched. If you can't get consent search, then we have to look at other means of getting these houses searched.
Right.
Dogs, they have to be deployed. Water areas, that's the first thing I always concentrate on. Obviously, the initial relatives and people have to be interviewed. They have to be polygraphed. And typically, people who are innocent, they always say no problem with a polygraph. I've never had somebody innocent say, I don't want to take a polygraph. And they take it and they pass it and we move on. I'm not saying polygraphs.
I don't think I would take it in a case, I
Well,
have to admit. Just like I wouldn't, especially after following the Karen Reed case, I would never hand over my phone.
my gosh. Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother. Actually, I saw somebody in chat that I hope you get rid of say something that was absolutely off kilter, and I'm going to address it right now. To say that Kevin and I were wrong in the Karen Reed case is absolutely BS. That trial or that jury pool was tainted, and the facts speak for themselves. And just like with OJ, to say, she should just be thanking her lucky stars that she got off. So I just wanted to address that really quick to that.
And a lot of those people tend to be kind of ignorant, but they should understand. Since you don't want to listen to me and Jen, listen to Alan Jackson. What did Alan Jackson say in his closing remarks? He said, he told the jurors that even if you believe that Karen Reed very likely did this crime, you must acquit, because you have to believe beyond a reasonable doubt. And based on his definition, Alan Jackson's of beyond a reasonable doubt, very likely does not meet that. So this jury did not find that Karen Reed was innocent. They just did not find that the evidence was there beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not the same thing at all. So we didn't get this wrong at all. We found to varying degrees that there was no other possibility here, and it was a much more difficult case to present this to a jury than it is to the rest of us that get that time to look over all the evidence. It's a bigger challenge to present this to a jury in 7 weeks when they have to absorb a whole lot of information, and there's a whole bunch of effort made by the defendant and her lawyers to muddy the waters. And then obviously here, a lot of those jurors may have come into this with their minds already somewhat skewed on this based on what went on, what was fed to the public by Karen and her team. So, but that jury, people don't understand the system. The jury did not find her innocent. The jury just did not find enough, just very technically, even if those jurors, most of them did their job, they did not find the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. Listen, I'm not going to ask you again, the person Where's the Summer who keeps putting the all caps. The reason I have a rule against not all caps is because it makes it seem like your voice is more important than anybody else's. So you keep insisting by putting all caps. If you put all caps again, I'm going to block you. I'm telling you right now.
They might be on my channel because, Kevin, I have to tell you, that's the one area it doesn't bother me one way or the other. I think because for me, I can see capitals better. So if they're on my channel.
Oh, you're right. It's on yours. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It might be
but it's just because then everybody's going to start doing it. And then there's no point of having caps. If everybody's just putting everything in all caps, So you're right. It's on Jen's channel, so I can't do anything. Sorry about that.
Sorry. And I've always said it doesn't bother me, but I get what you're saying. You make a really good point. And that's why I like that we discuss. We can have different opinions. And
oh, yeah. Right. Sorry. I didn't even realize. My mistake.
No problem.
I didn't mean to insult your guest.
Oh, no. And I was just guessing that might be the reason.
Yeah. No, that's the only reason I had the rule behind it, because it feels like you're trying to say that your voice is more important than anybody else's. So here, please, you must hear me. So I'm going to put it in all caps. That's the reason I have that rule on that. So I think it's the only rule I have, really, but anyways.
Yeah, no problem.
We shall move on. So anything else?
Crochet. That's exactly right. I'm vision impaired. So when they do all caps, I'm like, thank God I can read it.
Yeah, I know. They should make these programs a little bit easier to expand the size of things. One of the computers that I use, well, actually, even this one, it only holds 3 chat things in view. So if it's moving too fast, it can become really hard, so they really need to work on making this a little bit more functional so we can see easier, all of us that are looking in chat.
I wanted to comment to you, Kevin. I really appreciate when you and I talked about moving forward and your huge interest in unsolved cases. And I mentioned Summer Wells, and you had never even really heard about that case.
Right.
My hat goes off to you, because what happens with these cases, it's already happening with Sebastian Rogers, another little boy. And of course, here we see with Summer Wells. Once the pizzazz and the zing gets out of these cases, in other words, they're not in mainstream media anymore, and the normal channels aren't running with making fun of the witnesses and everybody else, the parents and everything that's happening, right? Once the drama dies down, they just forget about these kids. And I really appreciate you moving forward and just getting her name and her face out there. Somebody might know something. The problem I see is that it's on 11 acres, whatever happened in this little bitty patch where this little bitty house was, with only a couple people around.
Yeah. And so for me, what kind of encouraged me to do this was there were at least 4 specific occasions where people came back to me with information about a case. And it was something, in all 4 of them, there was something that I had covered a long time before. In fact, the most recent time that it happened, it was an important lead in a case that I had only done 1 or 2 shows on over a year before. And yet they remembered it, and they came back and they gave me, they trusted me to handle that information. And I didn't ever report it on the show. I made sure it just went to the right authorities. And so and this is what I realize is going on with police is they only can do so much, and they really rely on tips. Someone out there that knows something, and the police make that clear all the time. That's why they put out those hotline numbers,
Mhm.
and they're always saying somebody knows something, and we need you to come forward. And so I just wanted to be one small part in that process of trying to get people to come forward. Obviously, it'd be better if we had better numbers. It'd be easier to get more reach to do that. But we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, and I appreciate everybody who's on here tonight. This is really what I consider very much supporting Kevin and his new venture in 5 days a week. That's a lot of commitment as a creator. And I'm committed to come on Wednesdays for an hour or so to help kickstart this, particularly regarding summer. And I like the idea that you went with tonight, trying to focus in on Hunter. And, next time, let's revisit him, Kevin.
Mhm.
And for each person, I think this would be really helpful, like with Hunter. Let's
Mhm.
go through, at least you and I, we should analyze each one of those freshly, because a lot of these I've seen before many times.
Right.
It's been a couple of years, and go through them and bring out specifically the points that they made and also the contradictions. It's going to be way harder when it comes to Candace and Dawn, and some of that stuff is gone. I mean, I've looked for it. Some is missing.
Yeah, interviews that go up and then get taken down. So then you've lost them unless somebody has saved it. So yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I found a lot of what Hunter was saying was odd, but then as I sit here talking to you and thinking about it, it's like, well, he's only 15, so he's not driving a car. So how is he going to get over there? And how is he going to get into there and not noticed?
Yeah, it's
You
true.
know, so
He didn't. I don't think he was there, and his mom, I don't think is gonna would let him out of that house, but for, I guess, to be with his good friend and go get drunk.
right.
I think after
That's just so bizarre. I've never seen a relationship like that. But again, it feels like a case that there's a lot of devolution going down there.
Ghostwriter, this case was in Tennessee, and geez, we're working on. Oh my gosh, Summer went missing probably in 2002. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say. It's been terrible. It was something that initially the media was right on top of. I know News Nation, Brian Enton was out there, multiple reporters were out there. I was
Yeah.
on daily on, mostly on mainstream media, because it was before. I only have had a channel since last year. And it was something we really hoped would be solved. But I think it's important to point out the sheriff in that county. His name is Ronnie Lawson. And Ronnie
Oops. Sorry about that. I accidentally hit the wrong button.
2021, Billy says, thank you. Ronnie Lawson, his son was actually pled out to a very, very minor sexual assault crime. All he has to do is register as a sexual offender. But he was actually engaged with a minor. And it was brushed under the rug. He was looking at 20 years, as I recall, and basically got nothing. I think it was a suspended sentence it was under a year, and it was in the jail. And that is the type of mentality some of these judges and some of this down home Tennessee backwoods bullcrap system, how it works. Again, I'll bring up this poor little boy, Emmanuel Harrow. His father broke the bones, multiple bones, vertebrae, back, arms of a 10-week-old child.
Unbelievable. 10 weeks.
10 weeks, barely over 2 months. Their little toes, their little hands, they're this big, and bleeding brain. Ruined that child. That I don't want to say ruined, but forever affected that child. That child is still alive, but severe brain damage, cerebral palsy. And guess what that guy got? Nothing. He got pled out. I shouldn't say pled out. The prosecutor didn't plead him. He pled guilty to everything. Asked the judge for leniency. The judge said, okay, listen, you can go on some work release program, which is basically community service. Did nothing to him. And now he's been arrested for the murder of his other little baby son. That's what these judges do. And that's what happened. So I'm just saying this case took place in a jurisdiction that absolutely doesn't care about children and doesn't care about sexual assaults that go on. And you can look up Ronnie Lawson, look up his son, and look up this county, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Very, very frustrating. All right. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we call it a night?
No, I'm sorry you got me all heated up when it comes to Summer.
We love the rant. We love the rant. Don't worry about it.
You talk about kids being hurt. I mean, that's when I go on the rant.
Yeah.
I work in kids' cases in the bureau. I had to do it, but I didn't like it. And I'm so mad at these judges. I'm mad at this case with Emmanuel Haro. And
yeah, not right. You're not just mad with the kids being hurt. You're upset about the fact that the system is failing them. The system has a chance often to get these guys off the streets for a long time, and it doesn't do it.
Look at Harmony Montgomery. Montgomery was actually given back to the abusive dad. And he was dead for 2.5 years before he realized. It all comes down to money.
Actually, tomorrow night I have on Judge Carol Erskine, who was involved in that case, and I think she's been on your channel before, and she'll be on my channel tomorrow night.
That's great. That's what she did.
To talk about that case, Harmony. Yeah.
Oh, good. All right. Well, I'm not going to spoil anything. And Judge Erskine gets as worked up as I do about these cases, and even wrote a book. She gives all her money because I might not tell you this, but to adopt.
Yeah, she's told me privately. Yeah.
She's adopted. She's not adopted. She has adopted kids.
Yeah.
And helped get Harmony's brother adopted to a good family. And I was adopted, as an infant. And so we have that connection and that nexus with adoption. That's why I'm a huge safe haven box advocate as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Her brother's a judge too. So their whole family is committed to justice, and they take it very personally.
But when we disagreed, and I had her on the channel when she disagreed about some things with Judge Cannone, but we always did it very respectfully. And
yeah, I've had some of those probably same exact disagreements with her privately on the phone, but she's very calm and level-headed and can make a very strong argument for whatever it is that she wants to support. So, as you would expect, since she is a former judge. So, but yeah, she'll be my guest tomorrow night.
Oh, that's great. A great guest. I also wanted to thank Tom Fleming, and then I think it's Ingy, who I love. They are also on my Twitter page.
Her name is Joe.
Is it Joe?
Her name is Joe, yeah.
But I just want to thank your mods. They do such a great job, and they've always been so supportive. And anyway, I ramble on because I'm excited about your channel. I'm excited about the chance to help contribute in a small way and to get Summer's name and face out there. She shouldn't be forgotten. Right.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Jen. I very much appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday. We'll have to figure out what case we're going to talk about. We'll be coming back to Summer Wells from time to time, but I think we'll have to work. For now, we'll move on to something new. And there's a lot of new stuff in the news now. There's been new information out in recent days on Bryan Kohberger as they released the evidence on that was used in the trial. A lot of interesting stuff that gives you insights into how these guys think. So there's a lot of things we can choose from.
Well, I'll just follow your lead, and thanks for having me, and thanks for everybody.
Thanks, Jen. All right, guys, everybody, thank you very much. And we'll see you tomorrow night with Judge Carol Erskine. Have a good night.